Hello there, Sir from 17 once again, introducing you to my beginner's guide to Master Ninja on Ninja Gaiden Sigma. This is chapter 7 and this is the Monastery, or the Monastery, depending on how you want to pronounce that, and this is the very first part of that section. So this is a long level and it is also a pretty challenging one, but only because of a couple of fights. So as you move up towards the balcony, you'll notice there's a Muramasa statue below me that wasn't there on the original Ninja Gaiden. They've put a whole bunch of those in, and as soon as you get to that little walkway, you're going to be attacked by some bats, and there's going to be the laser robots. And none of these enemies are potentially hard to kill, but they're the annoying type of enemies that will leech life off you if you're not careful. So clean the bats up with your shurikens and then kill the robots with your arrows seems to be the best thing you can do. And as you come out here, if you don't absorb some of the essence, you can use it to charge a UT with the Luna and kill as many of these cats as you can, because this is a pretty big fight against cats. And they're probably one of the harder enemies on the game because they break your guard a lot, they're extremely agile, they can counter your flying swallow, and they can grab you through your guard, which comes really quickly, and you don't expect it at all when it happens. They do a lot of really crafty moves because it's kind of a flying swallow grab they do to you, so you want to be real careful of that. But what I found out here is if you move back towards these stairs where I'm standing, the aggressiveness of the cats completely goes. It's almost like they can't follow you. It's a bit of a safe spot, so you can use this area to charge your ultimate techniques, but just be a little careful because every so often one of them might get a little overzealous and somehow get past its programming and find you. But if you keep using this spot, it does work to your advantage to just spam ultimate techniques. And you'll notice I figured this out when I was recording it, because when I jumped over there to hide to try and, you know, get some bearings and see what they were doing, and I realised none of them were following me. If they follow you like that one did though, it can still fight you, because you'll notice it's almost like they give permission to the rest of them to come. And I don't know if that's because of the camera, because the way you manipulate the camera can dictate how the AI attacks you. There's nothing you can really do as far as camera movements aside from if you're looking at an enemy, that means they're looking at you, and it's kind of that mentality. It works a lot with the ogres later on, but all you want to be doing is killing the cats however you can and then using the essence to do the Luna UT on them. It's a pretty long fight because they spawn in, so you might be looking at taking down 10 to 15 of them, and because they come in, that's the throw. Did you see it? How quick is that shit, man? It comes out of nowhere. But be careful doing the Izun drop on these. When you're up in the air, sometimes another cat will actually flying swallow you and take you out, so you want to be careful of that. But the reason as well that this is a challenging enemy is because you don't fight it at all that often. The most you fight it, I found, was on hard. On hard difficulty, these cats replaced a lot of the IS ninjas, the Black Spider Clan ninjas as well. But on very hard, you fight a couple of them, and then on Master Ninja, they throw them in with a couple of weird combinations, but that aside, you're not going to be having to contend with the cats too much. So that could be a good thing if you like me and you don't like them, but at the same time, the only way to get better at fighting a particular enemy is literally by getting your ass kicked for a while until you figure them out. And mission mode is definitely a place where that is going to happen frequently if anyone's invested in trying to do that. I've been playing through mission mode recently, and I'm on the second to last tier, and it's gone fucking stupid. It's like 3 bosses at the same time and all that kind of stuff, and I knew it was gonna go that way, but I don't know, I kind of thought maybe it isn't as hard as it looks, but it is, so there you go. But this is the first level that you're going to encounter as well, where you can actually get an abundance of essence. So if you're ever wanting to use an item to fill your life, or if you're ever wanting to buy an upgrade and you don't know if you should, feel free to do it. You will get way too much essence on this chapter and the chapter that's going to follow it, because especially when we go underground into the catacomb area, it's just essence heaven. There is ridiculous amounts of essence. Oh, at the start of this chapter as well, if you turn the camera around, you will be able to see those chests, but for some reason they do nothing but bats in them, and sometimes bats are not the most, you know, fortuitous of excuse me, prizes when you open a fucking chest. As for some reason these guys spontaneously explode, which is just really strange game design. And I've seen it before as well, and I didn't realise where I'd seen it before, but it's very similar to Devil May Cry 3 when you kill the spiders and they release those tiny spiders, and if you get them on you, they blow up. So it's almost like all these fucking Japanese action game developers just think, oh, when all else fails, we'll just make it blow up. That sounds fun. But you'll notice these bats and these robots have respawned. You can probably feasibly farm karma from them, but I wouldn't advise doing it unless you've got the armlet. I think of Benediction, which is the one that gives you the more, or the armlet of fortune, whichever one gives you more essence when you kill things. I wouldn't advise doing it. It'll take too long. They do not give enough essence. You might as well wait for the pill bugs that you're going to be taking on in chapter 12, or the ghost fish that you're going to be taking on, I think, in chapter 8. They are much better areas to do that, in my opinion. And I will show you techniques of me doing it, but I will not show you how much I did when I was there, because there's no point. So I'm just going to say this is an area where you can do this. It's entirely up to you if you want to. I would definitely say do it because you need to get the unlaboured flawlessness as quick as possible. That sword is fucking amazing. It's truly, truly very good. But this is the monastery. And there's a couple of items in this room, but you'll notice I completely skipped them. The reason for this is when you go through this room, you're going to come up against a boss that only appears on Very Hard and Master Ninja. And he's not a hard boss by any means, but he can kill you extremely quickly. And it's a Ryu clone, so it's pretty much you versus you. So if you've ever, played Ocarina of Time when you took on Dark Shadow Link, it's pretty much the same concept, only this guy is a bastard. So the general theme here is to wait for him to attack, evade his attack, and then hit him with a Flying Swallow. When you hit him with a Flying Swallow, you will take off maybe 1/5 of his life. Repeat ad nauseum. You'll notice he's very elusive, he blocks a lot, his AI is very good. It's like fighting a multiplayer opponent. The character AI on the Ryu clones is the most dangerous you come up against. They will do wind path off you, they'll guillotine throw you, they'll Izuna drop you if you let them. They do some ridiculous things, and their reflexes with the shurikens and the projectiles is impeccable, so you want to be real careful. But just keep evading him, keep trying for the Izuna, and it seems to be the best technique I found against him. There's a couple of ways to get into the Izuna drop if you don't know. If he blocks the square triangle, then just try forward triangle. If he does the Nimpo, you need to wait till the last moment and evade. It can be a pain in the ass to dodge, but if it hits you, you're going to know about it, because it takes some serious damage off. The camera in this room is not the worst, but it is by no means the best. Look at that, man. Fucking guillotine throw me like a boss. He's you. He's got all the skills you have, and unfortunately, like, his AI is cruel as fuck, and he spams Nimpo, which is really cheap. But sometimes you will get lucky and he won't block as much, and you'll manage to beat him without using any items, but you'll notice I'm getting super unlucky with this fight. And I did say I was going to put up the first victory against the bosses that I got, so that you wouldn't see the most polished of encounters and you would see a more honest, display of what happened. And this is pretty much it. This guy kicked the fuck out of me before before I got lucky with the technique I was using. But the best thing about mission mode as well is if you're having trouble against some of the bosses, some of the later missions will have you fighting them, so you can practice them. And you can also practice them with minions, which is a harder version of the boss fights themselves. And there's an entire tier that's dedicated to fighting the Ryu clones, so feel free to practice them in there. I know I'm definitely going to do, just to get a little bit more comfortable with how they fight and knowing when and when not to attack. But thanks for watching, guys, and you take care now.